everybody! Hi, Biblio, and thanks for stopping by, Chris! It's tailoring time. Oh, I am not ready for this, but I gotta see how this ends. Oh, thank you for the kick, Neil, and the shin beams! Yeah. Ganbare beam! You are ready for this. Oh, that's right, you feed on this, don't you? Alright. Let's see what Neil has for us. Hi, Tuxedoji! Managed to get through the entirety of the show without boiling over with emotions. That's good. I still haven't gotten the chance to speak to Angela in private. Angela, we trusted you. Judging by the evil looks Neil has been giving her, he wants to talk to her too. I still need to give her a piece of my mind though, along with another piece of me. After the show is over, we make our way back to the parking lot as we're heading out to a restaurant for dinner. Unfortunately, Neil leaves with his parents, and me, I'm with Angela. Are you ready? Angela, you have serious explaining to do. You've got some splaining to do. Whatever do you mean? It was a lovely performance, was it not? Oh, Angela. I'm going no contact with this entire family. Angela, don't be like that. I am really angry that you pulled me into this without even giving me a heads up. Oh, don't be dramatic. Oh, I hate her. I invited you over for a show and a dinner. It's not the end of the world. It is when the purpose of this was to get me to meet Neil's parents for some kind of scheme. This is fraud, Angela. They think I'm dating Neil. This is not all right with me. Can you imagine being associated with Neil? Can you, Angela? For being as outspoken as you are right now, I didn't really see you kicking up a fuss in front of his parents, though. Could it be that you're secretly okay with it? Angela. Angela, why are you doing this? I'm not okay with this. I just didn't want to be rude. It's called the social contract, Angela, which you broke. Angela, I really am upset about this, and so is Neil. Did you know he approached me a couple weeks ago? He told me to stay away from him. You know why he said this? Because he didn't want you dragging me into madness like this. Do you understand? Wakattemasu ka? No need to blow a gasket here, dear. It's just from one dinner. That's all I am asking for. But you didn't even ask me! Oh, I am diving right out of this car. Look, drastic times call for drastic measures. If you can get through this one dinner, Neil's parents will get off his back. I will not let Neil work himself to death. There are other options, Angela! Work with me here. Don't fail me now. I have high hopes for you. Oh. No one in this family understands the life of a commoner. Angela pushes down on the gas pedal to speed up the car. I'm in a whirlwind of questions right now. Did she lock the doors to this car? Angela. Oh, fancy dinner. We arrive at the restaurant with Neil and his parents joining in afterwards. It's a fancy-looking place, richly decorated with staff wearing traditional uniforms. One of them greets us. Welcome, Mr. and Miss Forrester. How was your evening? Miss? Oh, interesting. So she's a miss, is she? Neil, you hadn't mentioned that before. Right this way, please. Your table is waiting for you. The waiter leads us to a large table with a ton of cutlery, neatly arranged. Wow, I can't remember what any of these are for. This is one of those fine dining restaurants. Well, I've been to maybe a couple. I feel like I'm going to mess up on which utensil to use while eating. You see, this is why I just use chopsticks. I'm about to grab the chair to sit down when Neil pulls it out in front of me. I look into his eyes. There is probably a giant question mark hovering above my head right now. He's pulling out chairs for me now? At least his mama taught him something, right? I take it he's putting up an act, so I sit down as elegantly as I can and give him a delightful fake smile with my pinky out, my chin up. I can't believe I have to do this. Me neither, Freya. Thank you, good sir. Neil nods at me and takes a seat next to me, staying silent all this time. Angela is seated next to him. She seems quite pleased with herself, and Neil's parents sit opposite of me, looking as if they've been regulars at this restaurant for years. What would you like to drink this evening, madame? Orange soda? Some sparkling water would be nice. Why? I almost regret it. Alcohol might have made this situation more bearable. Sparkling water is awful. I'm sorry to any sparkling water likers in here. It just tastes like water except wrong. It's incorrect water. Everyone else except for Neil all order white wine. I slightly wonder if Angela should even be drinking now. She already sounded tipsy before, and she's my ride home. Wait, she sounded tipsy before? Freya, Angela drove us here! There's a lull in the conversation, and I can feel the eyes of Neil's parents staring at me like I'm some kind of science experiment. It is really uncomfortable. I distract myself by opening up the menu card. Oh, opening up the menu? Oh, I'm funny. Oh, whoops. There's 2 pieces of paper glued to the inside of the brown binder, both pages filled with only 4 choices, each a 7-course menu. Oh my god. Right, fine dining means tiny food portions. There's the fish, pork, beef, and vegetarian menu. Oh my god. Oh. This isn't even happening to me in real life and I'm feeling distressed. Look guys, just take me to the Cheesecake Factory instead, okay? I quickly make a random choice, we all take our orders, and I hope I won't be getting served anything strange like boiled snails or something. No, I actually tried snail once. It was, actually pretty good. Kind of like seafood? Anyway. I look down at the cutlery. There's so many knives and forks. Wow, one for each member of this family? I'm not quite sure what it's all used for. I can think of many uses for it. Neil suddenly leans in closer to me, his sleeve brushing up against me. Work from the outside in. Oh, thanks for the advice. Oh. All right, I'm gonna remember that for if I ever go to a fancy restaurant too. I half expected him to throw an insult my way for not knowing the proper etiquette and comparing my elegance to that of a baby. This is the last time I'm going to eat in a place like this. I am in complete agreement with that. Oh my god. Oh. Alright, so outside in, huh? So then that means that this big one must be going into Neil's thigh right now? Don't be keeping secrets from us like that. Share it with the rest of the table. I sit straight up in embarrassment for being called out, and so does Neil. Oh, let those lovebirds have their private conversations. I bet they're just saying the sweetest words to each other. Angela, why did you do this to us? I shoot her a glare. She's so going to get chewed out later for all of this. Now I realize why Neil warned me about her shenanigans. They're completely insane proposals. This is beyond shenanigans, Neil. I look back at Neil's parents and I can't bring myself to tell them, hey, actually, I'm just pretending to be into your son here. It's all an act. He's the worst guy I've ever met. That will make it even more awkward than it already is. Dang social contract. Besides, I sort of told Neil I was okay with keeping this facade going for some reason. The drinks arrive and Angela immediately drinks almost all of her wine. That's not good. We all stay silent and I wonder if I should say something, but Evelyn beats me to the punch. So, Freya, designing these dresses, is it a hobby of yours? Are we not going to talk about Angela over here? Please? I'm a bit offended at that. No, it's my passion and my life's work. Freya, you can just say, I enjoy dressmaking. Right now it is my primary occupation. There's no need to get on the defensive so easily. He looks just like his mama. I don't like her either. Oh, is that so? Oh, she disapproves. We just lost mama points. What did you study at the university? Ah, yes, the university that I had attended with Neil. Yes, that university. Neil tenses up when Marcus starts to speak. I feel like I'm being picked and prodded at with a stick. This is uncomfortable for me as well. I went to the Art Institute of Plainer and I got a bachelor's in fashion there. Freya, I thought that you wanted to make a good impression for Neil. Like you agreed to. I know how good it feels to make his parents feel ashamed of him. But please, Freya, your consistency. Ah, another art school, a waste of time and money. Freya, you already knew what he was like. I can't believe this. Neil keeps tapping the spoon against the table, going faster and faster until it launches out of his hand. Manners, young man. With a soft clink, it lands in between my chair and Neil's. I can feel it touch my heel, so I bend down to pick it up. At the same time, Neil tries to reach for the spoon as well, and we softly bump our heads against each other. Wow, that's really doki doki. Our fingers lightly touching. My heart starts to beat faster. Nerves overrunning my body. We're so close we could sneak a kiss behind this table if we were actual fiancés. Excuse me. You're not excused. I've seen this in the movies. Grab the weapon first. Wait, right back on the table? Like, not among the rest of it, right? Neil, you're gonna hand it back to the waiter, right? Stop being so clumsy, boy. His parents suck. Why are we trying to suck up to them? I guess they didn't teach you how to use your utensils in art school. Wow, he sounds so high and mighty. I am annoyed by that comment. I would be worried if you weren't. No kindness. No kindness to this entire family. Congrats, Neil. Look who your cousin has chosen as your fake fiancé. Are you regretting it? Alright. Thank you for the Freya Fitness Biblio. Alright, so 5 on each arm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Well, isn't it the parents' job to teach their child table manners? Neil twitches, and he turns to me with fear in his eyes. It won't let you spam? Are you out of points? I mean, there shouldn't be a cooldown. It's just like a limit of how many times per stream. Neil's dad is angry. He angry. Are you insinuating that I haven't taught my son any manners? His voice is thick and threatening. Well, it's pretty obvious Neil has the manners of a teaspoon, so yeah, I am implying this. Hey, Freya, don't insult teaspoons like that. Oh, I shouldn't have spoken. Oh god. Oh god, I'm gonna wait for the fitnesses to stop. Oni-chan, dame. Okay. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 10 sets, so that's 50 on each arm. Biblio, I thought we were friends. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thank you for the fitness. Had to refresh Twitch to keep redeeming? I see. Naruhodo. Marcus. I don't fear you as much as I fear fitness. Now, I don't think anyone here is saying that. And Freya's bachelor's isn't a waste, Marcus. She owns her own boutique and even made this dress for me. Marcus gives Angela a dirty look, but clamps down his mouth and refuses to speak any further. Do you have any complaints about the dress, Marcus? And for once, it makes you look like an elegant young lady. Oh, jeez! For once. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Oh. This is painful. Oh. It's okay, Freya. I would want to run away too. I look towards Neil for support, but he looks even more out of his element than before. Yeah. Great. Can't count on him. It seems Neil caves under his parents' pressure, and that's exactly what you want in a partner. A little skin never hurt anybody. Really? No, that's your cousin! I kinda wanna die right now. And I can feel Neil growing uncomfortable as well. I managed to catch him knocking his knee hard against Angela's under the table to get her to quit making these comments. Anyways, let's drink. Angela, you're gonna drive. Let's drink to Freya and Neil, who are getting married. Eventually. Is that right, Angela? I wish the ground would swallow me right now. This is getting too much to bear. I have the weirdest fake-looking grin on my face. It's a miracle no one could see the obvious discomfort written on it. No, Ballsy, I'm afraid they're just regular slut-shaming me. Just pretend for one dinner. It should be fine. You can do it. Raise that glass. I take my glass and slowly raise it, seeing Neil do the same. And then I smash it on the table. To us. For some reason, that makes my heart beat faster. Freya, why? Oh, I'm suffering. We all cling our glasses together. The dinner runs without many hiccups. Evelyn keeps barraging me about myself, firing question after question, whereas Marcus hasn't really said anything anymore after he berated Neil for his manners. Oh, I hate everyone at this table. Neil has been completely quiet during the whole meal as well, only sometimes responding with one-syllable words. It's so strange to see him like this, so quiet and meek. I'm not used to this Neil, it's really odd. On the other hand, the one thing that felt very much the same still is Angela, who has been getting more and more tipsy. The tipsier she gets, the more she teases us about being a couple. I think that she ships us for real, not just for JK. And may I remind you that Angela is driving us back home? Oh, she comes up with fantasy scenarios of us going out on dates to museums and whatnot, describing it with way too much detail. It's awkward to say the least. She is writing real person fiction, and she's talking like she actually saw us there, like she was third-wheeling all of our fictional dates. By the time we're all done with our desserts, Angela is clearly too drunk to drive, so Neil offers to drive her home instead. It was very nice meeting you, Freya. Do let us know when you can join us again. I would love that. So she says, but I have a feeling that Neil's mom is going to just disparage us behind our backs. I I simply smile at her, knowing full well there won't be a next time. I had a very nice evening. Thank you very much for inviting me. Freya, I turn to face him. It's so strange to look at him now when we've been sitting side by side this entire time, hearing about our fake romantic escapades. I'll drive you home. All right. So when are we gonna sit Angela down and tell her she has a problem? We all bid our goodbyes to Neil's parents, and we all managed to get inside Angela's car without much protesting from Angela. I sit in the passenger seat next to Neil, looking at him as he grips the steering wheel with his hands. Just like me, Neil's on edge, and we're both pretty displeased with Angela's actions. Friendship ended with Angela. Now Sarah is my best friend. Oh, thank you for the sip, Fang! Oh, I still haven't finished that coffee from earlier. Speaking of Angela, she's singing songs in the backseat of the car. Love songs, to be exact. For what it's worth, I think you two make a very convincing couple. Angela, please get into rehab. You and I will be having a very serious discussion when you sober up. I won't be letting you off the hook. Ah, come on, lighten up, Neil. Your parents loved her. Or, well, Evelyn did. Marcus was a gwump, but he's always a grump. Gwumpy gwump. Angela, why don't you close your eyes and get some rest? Angela doesn't seem to quite listen to me, and continues to sing random love songs. But at least she's not making any strange comments. My eyes glance over towards Neil, seeing him look so serious as he stares at the road. I know he asked me to play along after all, but I wonder what he thinks of this entire situation? They say you took the passenger seat, but really you're hovering over the center console. My thoughts drift back to Angela's fake dates, and I start to wonder what it would be like to date Neil for real. No! I try to imagine where Neil would take me out. Where I would take Neil out. To attract the least attention. I'm pretty sure he'd take me to an expensive restaurant such as this one as well, and would probably open car doors for me, if Neil had any love in his heart. I snicker at myself. That would be really strange to see, haha. Then again, it felt kinda nice when Neil pulled out the chair for me. It's an old and outdated custom, but it's strangely satisfying to see that Neil would try to make an impression on someone. Freya, just be honest and say you want to top him for revenge. Or at least I think you would try. Eventually, we arrive at Angela's apartment, and Neil goes upstairs with her to make sure she doesn't sleep outside of her own front door. Has she done that before? Is this family okay? I anxiously await Neil to come back. We'll be alone again. I guess now would be the time I won't be seeing Neil anymore. He did say he'd promise I wouldn't be hearing from him again after tonight. The thought leaves me sad. It really shouldn't. I need to speak to him about this. Neil is back before I know it, startling me when he opens the car door. He sits down with a heavy sigh, placing his hands on the wheel again. I really do apologize for tonight, for Angela. For once, it's not your fault. I slowly nod my head. I know it's not his fault, that Angela did something like this. Your parents weren't too bad, I lie. Then I remember what his father said about art school. You went to an art school too, right? For your interior design, Angela mentioned it as well before. Angela blubs too much. She sure does! Well, I can't disagree with that. Did you ever end up finding work for it? No. Ganbatte. I started an internship at the hospital straight after graduation. My father wanted me to follow in his footsteps and learn on the job as soon as possible. Oh, that's kinda sad. It is what it is. I guess his father wasn't too keen on him studying interior design and wanted him at the hospital straight away. So why did he let Neil go? Do you think your hours will get cut after this dinner? I can't be too sure of anything. If it were up to my mother, she'd have me work 1 day a week, but it's all up to my father. I wanted to disagree with him right there and say he actually has a choice in whether or not he wants to work for his father, but I decide to keep silent. Your mother seems nice. I don't trust her. A bit privy to information, but nice. I do not trust her. Sounds like someone I know. Are you talking about me? Neil, please don't compare me to the middle-aged white lady. Who else sticks their nose into someone else's business as much as you do? No, I don't. That would be Angela! I have tried my best to avoid associating with you, Neil. Neil, you were the one who approached me at the party and made out with me. It was all you. Neil doesn't respond to that, except he puts his hand on the stick to shift it into a gear. We stay silent for a while, keeping our eyes on the road. That watch you broke. It was a gift from Angela, for my graduation. Ah, that makes sense. Angela seems to have been born into a rich family as well. I am a bit surprised that Neil volunteered to share this piece of information with me. It's almost as if we're having an actual conversation. She had high hopes that we'd be working closely together at the same firm. Unfortunately, life didn't work out that way. Neil seems sad as he says this, like he's reminiscing past memories that never came to fruition. What does that mean? I'm intrigued on one side, and on the other side I'm worried what will happen when we reach my house. That's too bad. At least I realized my dream. I can't imagine being forced to do something else that isn't even related. Ah, the privilege on this protagonist. The wish fulfillment. Forced. I'm unsure if that's the right word for this situation. However, I have been forced to work at times, or should I say, hounded until I gave in. Actually, do you remember the day I walked into your boutique for the first time? How could I forget? You mistook me for a boy in one of my childhood pictures. I will never forgive you for that. Neil shoots me a dirty look. Disregarding that, I was there by pure accident. Oh, we get an explanation. My father's secretary was following me the entire time, yapping about some meeting I should have been attending. She drove me mad, that woman. She was doing her job. Still does. I figured I needed to devise a way to get rid of her. She's gonna get in trouble! I tried to piece together the puzzle. Neil had seemed anxious that day when he entered. So you mean to say you were in my boutique that day because you were hiding from her? You had no intention of buying anything from the start? I wouldn't exactly call it hiding. I would definitely call it hiding. Ah, that's really cute, but it won't make me forgive him. I suppose I was. I'm at a loss of words at the moment. Seeing him laugh so earnestly with me, it's making my heart clench up. My heart! Call an ambulance! I want to see all those different sides of Neil that he never shows. They're all so interesting. It resonates strongly within my heart. I don't want to stop seeing him. Neil? Since, the worst part has already happened, I doubt Angela can play more tricks on us. Do you still wanna... We've arrived at my street! Do I still want to what? The car rolls to a stop. It's dark outside. Only a few streetlights are on. We're the only ones here. I look down at my hands. Do you still want to stop seeing me? Well, Neil? I hold my breath. Neil exhales slowly, rubbing his hands on the steering wheel, like he's afraid to let go. He squeezes his eyes shut, then turns off the engine and opens his car door. Get out, I'll walk you to your door. Thanks, Neil. He's completely ignored my question, but I quickly get out of the car as well, nervous about what he's going to do. Well, I feel like I'm going to get rejected. I shakily hold my purse close to my body and watch as Neil makes his way around the car to approach me. Oh, you're approaching me? You just made me think of a story like this where the protagonist has a heart issue, but just thinks it's love stuff. Is that really a thing? Neil brushes his fingers through his black hair as he stands next to me in front of my boutique. His eyes are cast downwards, refusing to meet mine. I can feel my heart thump loudly in my chest as I start to walk towards my front door, with Neil following me behind. We both stop at the door. I can only remember what happened last time, but this time I'm scared it's going to be the opposite. I turn to face him, but neither of us can look each other in the eye. Neil, please answer me. Isn't it better this way?
Is it?
You just spent the entire night pretending to be my fiancé, entertaining my parents with the idea that I might actually have someone who tolerates me enough to marry me. Oh, so you're aware that you're intolerable. And you don't think it's smarter if we simply never see each other again to avoid disasters such as tonight?
And didn't I say I'm an adult who can make their own decisions? I can handle disasters.
I think that Freya might actually just be a masochist.
Besides, is that what you really want? Can you really look at me and say you don't want to see me anymore? Can you really say you can handle not seeing my cute little face?
Neil's eyes shift to the left and right, unable to look me in the eye. He's fidgeting too much, like he's nervous. Freya, don't make me waver in my decision. Oh, we are tempting him with our otome wiles.
Why not? Well?
Neil gives me a conflicted look. He probably doesn't know what to do either.
Well, do you really want to stop seeing me?
Neil grits his teeth, looking down at his feet. It's clear as day that it's not what he truly wants. So why fight it? Why make it more complicated than it already is? To stretch out this runtime! Neil clenches his hand into a fist, then lets out a large and jittery breath. Are you even going to accept any other answer than no? I'll make you waver so much you'll half-charge my noble phantasm. I smile sweetly at him.
I just want you to be honest with yourself, honest with me. Stop being a heckin' tsundere.
I swallow as I gather all my courage to say the following.
Because I want to see you.
For once in his life, Neil looks perplexed, absolutely astonished at this information. We're on our way to a good ending, folks. I mean, I'm pretty sure this game doesn't have any bad endings, but we're on our way to a good one. We are being hugged. I love to be hugged by somebody I love. Neil's heart thumps loudly against my ear. It's singing the same tune as mine. I feel myself melt in his warm arms. Oh, I'm lonely. I've been waiting for this embrace, been waiting to touch him again after that day he told me to stop seeing him. It feels so much better in his arms. I have no idea what she sees in him. And I still don't ship it, but that doesn't stop me from being jealous of them. I'm a fool. Baka mitai. It's giving me goosebumps. Really good goosebumps. Freya, you better not! The moment is cut short as Neil finally distances himself away from me, taking all his warmth with him. I feel naked without his embrace. That's TMI. I need to bid you a good night. Even under the dark of the night, I can faintly see some traces of a pink hue on Neil's cheeks. You still haven't answered me. I haven't gotten an actual response from him. Regardless of if I want to see you or not, it seems to have no bearing on whether or not I will actually see you. Stop being a tsundere. What's that supposed to mean? It means eventually I'm going to see you whether I like it or not. I poke my finger into his chest. That's still not an answer. Can't you just say a simple yes or no, Mr. Simple and Clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight. It's hard to let it go. Oh, bad. 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 No grinding! No grinding! Oh, jeez. So bold. Good night, Neil. Adult kisses. No grinding? Oh no, I caused this. I made him waver. Why are they just staring directly at each other like that? Is that just how the 1% kiss? I wonder if we should... I want a hoodie. Colors in CG? I mean, yeah, we have white hair and white eyes over here, so what was with the black hair and the CG? Oh, we just gotta continue. Marcus and Eliza teach how to kiss. Step 1. Get out your checkbook. My fate with Neil is still a bit unclear since that day. Okay, honestly, mood though. Again, it took like 2 months after kissing with Luke to really get that sorted out. Look, adult relationships are complicated. We don't have a kokuhaku culture in America. He never came right out with it, that he wanted to continue to see me. All he did was kiss me, which I guess sort of lets me know that Neil at least has some feelings for me. But what those feelings are, I don't know. Even my own feelings are an enigma to me. Judging from how you guys have been treating each other, lust. All I know is I long to see him again and... Oh, jeez. Oh, this is too M-rated for me. For several days I hear nothing. Everything is still unclear and up in the air. And a week passes, and I finally decide to pull the trigger and text Neil first. A brave decision. I fiddle around with my phone and send a text to Neil, asking him if he's going to dinner with his parents is paid off, and if he has to work less. It takes 8 hours before I get a reply to that. No! That's all it says. Wow. Thanks, Angela. I feel a bit cheated out of that answer. I went through that entire ordeal and Neil's office hours weren't even cut down. Angela, answer me. In the end, putting up that whole charade in front of his parents didn't even matter? Thinking about it infuriates me. All that for nothing. I haven't heard anything from Angela either. I'm not sure how to initiate contact with her since we didn't really leave each other on good terms. And for good reason, too. I'm still mad at her for using me like that. Maybe I can simply swing by and see if she's there to talk things through. Freya? Please don't visit people without permission. At least call ahead of time. So that's what I do. I head over to Angela's apartment. Do they do it differently in Europe? As I ring the doorbell, I hear a lot of noise inside the apartment. Well, Angela certainly seems home, but it sounds like she might be busy. Perhaps I should have called before coming over. Yeah, you really should have. What if she has a date over? The door opens and Angela's face pops up. She looks confused and her hair is disheveled. Freya? What are you doing here? Oh, Angela Super has a problem. Okay, Angela definitely seems to be drunk at 1 p.m. I came over to talk. Maybe I should come back some other time. Angela suddenly grabs me by the wrist and pulls me inside the apartment. Nobody in this family has any sense of personal space. For being drunk, she sure has a lot of strength. I stumble inside, the place looks like a mess. It looks the same as it always has, Freya. The once impeccable apartment now has magazines lying on every piece of furniture, chairs not pushed under the table. You guys actually do that? Vases lying down on the floor. What happened here? Did someone break in? I have a bit of a creative block, so that's why I need to get a little chaotic with my environment. Is that what you call day drinking? This is a great choice of poison to get my creative juices running again. I grab the glass from her hands. I think that's enough, Angela. I can't bear to see Angela like this, completely wasted in her own home. I mean, it's better than being completely wasted in somebody else's home. Angela gives me an undignified look and she wobbles a bit on her feet.
I wasn't finished with that.
I'll come back some other time, okay? How about you go rest? More often do I encounter Angela drunk like this, it's getting worse. But how do you even get someone to realize they need to stop drinking so much? Oh, thank God they're finally acknowledging it. Suddenly, Angela is pulling me by the wrist onto the couch with... Wait, I'm not ready for this. Police! Freya, I thought that you'd learn by now. You don't have to deal with the discussions that are scheduled for when you're sober, if you're never sober. Yeah, you are. And, like... oh, this is deeply stressful. This is deeply stressful. And she really shouldn't do that. In fact, we should still be angry with her. Is that why you're here drinking in the afternoon? Do you feel guilty about your actions? I don't want to muddy our relationship with what I've done. I do enjoy having you around as a friend. And I enjoy having you as a friend, I lie. But this still isn't the best time to talk about this. Why don't you rest up, take a nap? If you love him so much, just marry him yourself. It's Europe. Angela tries once more to keep me down by grabbing my wrist, except this time her coordination is even more unbalanced, so she misses completely and grabs nothing but air. Her entire body topples forwards with her momentum until I can't do anything but... Oh, jeez! Oh, jeez! Ambulance? Ambulance! Excuse me? Things are hectic, unpredictable, and chaotic. That was quite a swerve. I find myself staring at the closed door of the room that Angela is staying in. The hospital had to admit her for the night and monitor any changes in behavior to see if her concussion has gotten worse. They said it looked worse than it really was. Angela was only unconscious for a couple minutes, but that's mostly because she was also heavily drunk. Ah, I see. Only for a couple minutes, huh? Oh, jeez. The police say, yep, definitely a struggle. Look at the state of this place. We're a detective murder game now. I'm fiddling with my thumbs, sitting on a bench in the hallway, looking as people pass me by. Neil is in the room with Angela. He arrived about 15 minutes ago and still hasn't come out. I'm still shaken up from everything. Seeing Angela on the floor like that was pretty terrifying. I panicked, but managed to call the emergency number, as well as notify Neil. He came as soon as she was admitted, luckily already being at the hospital. I can only imagine what's going on. Neil looked distressed and PO'd at the same time when he came in. God, you don't ever want to go through something like that again, I say with a sigh. Does everybody know the proper first aid procedures for if you see somebody in need of medical assistance? First you need to, scan the surroundings and make sure to, drag away any hazards. So, for example, Angela fell down and bumped her head against the coffee table. So, first off, you should move the coffee table out of his way and maybe push the couch away too. So, that way you've got plenty of room with her. And then you gotta check if she's responsive. So, you tap her shoulder and then call her name, Angela, tap again, and if she doesn't respond, then, well, if there's somebody else there, it's best to ask them to call 911 instead while you do your general stuff. But, obviously if you're the only one there, then it's your job to call 911, or whatever the emergency number is. And then I can't recall the exact procedure for a head wound, but let's see, if it's a personal residence, they probably don't have a first aid kit there, do they? Or I guess we wouldn't know where the first aid kit is. Well, at the very least, you gotta make sure that she's like not moving in a way that can get her hurt even more. And maybe handle the blood. I mean, by handle, I mean, like, obviously I'm not expecting you to mop around her head or anything, but just if you see any bandages, give them the people's elbow. Yeah, and definitely keep on checking for responsiveness. Anyway, the more you know. I have first aid training. It's been almost a half hour now and the door finally opens. Neil walks out and closes it behind him with an exasperated sigh. My eyes follow him as he sits down next to me. He hangs his head down as he leans on his knees. I should review my learning because if I ever encounter an actual head wound, it'll be really bad if I don't remember the steps that I'm supposed to take. How is she? Sobered up? You should also state a specific person call for emergencies and not just say someone call for help. Yes, that's exactly right. So for example, if you're among a crowd, you can just point at someone and say, "You in the blue shirt, call 911. People react better when called out. Because if you just say somebody, then everybody's going to assume that somebody else already did it. And that's called the bystander effect, and people usually point toward Kitty Genovese as an example, but that's actually not a very good example at all, because actually a lot of people called the police. It's just that the police were very slow to respond because, you know, a woman in a less than reputable neighborhood. So really, ACAB. For the most part, she doesn't seem to be saying anything deranged aside from her usual nonsense. Neil, be nice to your cousin, she's in the hospital. They need her to stay the night. I know. How did this even happen? I don't know, she was drunk when I saw her, tried to get up from the couch, fell over, and this is the result. The only brain damage she's sustaining is the one she's inflicting on herself with that godforsaken alcohol. I don't really know what to say, so I say nothing instead, and I gently place a hand on Neil's back. I can feel him tense up at my sudden touch, but he sighs once more and relaxes a bit. How can you save someone from themselves? We stage an intervention. I lower my eyes and stare at the floor. I'm not quite sure how to answer that. I don't know how to help Angela kick off her bad habit of getting drunk. She'd probably laugh at any attempts to hide her bottle of wine. And it seems her alcoholism, they're acknowledging it, is also fueled by her inability to help out Neil, who she feels fiercely protective of. You don't. They have to help themselves. People are stubborn like that. No, you can help others. You just can't save them. Give him a knowing look. Like someone I know. Neil brushes off my hand and gives me an undignified look. He then continues to brood in silence. No flirting at the hospital. When did she start drinking so much? I can't even remember. It's been like this for a long time, always drinking as much as she can at parties. However, it wasn't until after her graduation that I started encountering her drunk more often. I don't know why. Stress? Grief from her father passing away? You didn't mention that before, Neil? Neil, you did not mention that before. It could be anything. Neil? I didn't know her father is deceased. He's silent for a minute. It was a long time ago. You don't say! I think Angela turning to alcohol as a crush has more to do with Neil than her deceased father, though. Freya, you don't know anything. Or at least at the moment it does. I think Angela's bad habit of getting herself drunk might also have something to do with you. Freya, you're phrasing. What's that supposed to mean? She's worried about you. Even this entire scheme she cooked up with us being engaged, it was all a ploy so that you would have more time off work. And it didn't even work. I sigh deeply. I'm beginning to understand Angela a little more, despite disapproving of her alcohol habits. She has her own demons she's fighting, but that doesn't excuse her giving us more demons to fight. I think she's frustrated seeing you like this, so she drinks more than necessary. And it's good to be empathetic towards her and to want her to get better, but we really don't owe her anything. A long silence stretches out, and I watch the nurses and doctors pass us by with an unfocused gaze. I look back at Neil, and he has such a painful expression on his face, like he's bottling everything up, like a bottle of wine. How can she be so stupid? It runs in the family. Always concerning herself with me. Multiply those demons, that's right. That's just Angela's way of showing her affection, and it is very unwanted. His eyes flash over towards me. Stupid like you. Hey! I agree though. No flirting in the hospital. Are you alright? Missing out on work? At a certain point they'll notice I'm gone, and I'll have another annoying secretary on the lookout for me. I can hide you. How? I can put a bag over your head. There's a slight smile on his lips, and it makes me happy I got him to relax a bit. I think they would notice such an obvious sham. Would they? Happy that he's at least entertaining my joke, I scoot a bit closer to him. I can print out someone else's photo and stick it on the bag, so no one can recognize you. You'll fool them all, pretending to be someone else. We're a master of identity theft. It would be a nice change of pace to not be myself. Realizing what he said, he quickly scrambles to correct himself. Clearly I live a magnificent life, but, I wouldn't mind being able to dodge those secretaries. Relax, Your Majesty. I know you meant you wish you could escape your responsibilities. Even I do sometimes. What kind of responsibilities would you even have? Having to count the number of customers that enter your store? Neil, I am this close. A whole 4? So much stress! Neil! This isn't flirting, this is negging. I get way more than 4 customers per day. Angela doesn't count. She's a legit customer. So you are agreeing that you only get 4 customers a day. Oh my god. Wait, no, I'm not. Don't twist my words around, Baka. If you're only getting 4 customers a day, then you should market yourself better. Spend some money on advertising, make seasonal clothing, give discounts to returning customers, and for God's sake, get a business card already. You don't even own a website. We don't even own a website?! Also curious how they use the American version of advertising. Or, well, they only spell it with a Z in America, right? And I think maybe Canada sometimes? I can feel my cheeks starting to blush. Neil's right. I haven't done most of those things. With Sarah, I've done a few photo shoots and handed the pictures out as flyers, but that's all the advertising I've done. How are we so rich? Just with this. I kept putting it off to make my own website, that eventually I was simply making excuses and procrastinating. We have thousands of dollars. We can afford to hire someone for a quick web page. Correct? We'd spell it advertising with an S? Yeah, I thought so. Americans, we just love Z's. We love Z's and getting rid of E's. But the pride inside of me refuses to admit Neil's right, so I turn my head away from him to hide my embarrassment. How would you even know I don't have a website? Obviously, I had to find out who exactly was making my blazer. I checked every single combination of words I could think of, but got no hits in any search engine. The most I could find was your company listed in the local business registry. Nothing else? No social media or pictures of you. You were looking for pictures of us? I hear people saying TikTok is the place to advertise right now. Nah, the best place to advertise is by looking for viral Twitter posts and then advertising your weird sunset lights under them. Oh? You want to see pictures of me online? Are you looking for special pictures, Neil? I wasn't. You just said you tried every combination in the search engine to look for my pictures. Who would waste their time looking for pictures of you online? Apparently you just admitted it. I admitted no such thing. Don't think so highly of yourself. I was merely looking for information about your boutique. Why would I even care about you personally? You kissed us 3 times. I'm starting to understand him a little bit more. That he's a tsundere. Yeah, of course I'm say-so. What's wrong, Baldy? Did I say anything that's not say-so? It still brings up an urge to punch him in the face, though. Why don't you try being honest with yourself for a change? You can't look me in the eye and say you don't care about me personally. I give Neil a serious look, and when our eyes meet mine, he bashfully turns his gaze elsewhere. Fine, I do care. But it's different right now. I didn't know you back then. Oh, you knew me quite well, Neil. Remember 10 years ago? Have you considered OnlyFans? Ah, yes, the place everyone thinks of for non-adult content. I can't believe they're banning adult content. I didn't know that they hosted non-adult content. Ah, it's like just a regular model for these businesses, huh? Like, they begin by luring in, like, the workers who otherwise don't have many protections, and then steadily grow their user base until they get more, like, marketable user bases, and then slowly trim away the undesirables to make room for, like, all of the shareholders and whatnot, for more marketability, and then they go bust. Selfies in the hospital. Hey! My best friend Angela just got hospitalized for alcoholism! Yay! Pics with the bae! Smile! Nani? People are comparing it to Tumblr's porn man, but it's rather different. Yeah, I would say it's more like Patreon's. Oh, now we have the correct hair and eye color. Look at me. Look. This is why you don't take surprise selfies. I start laughing uncontrollably. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. And don't suddenly take pictures of me. Delete that. Delete this. I mean, what in the world is going on with your eye there? Does it always do that? Delete it now with speed lines. No, wait. Let's take one more then. Not as good. I look at the results. This time Neil isn't blinking. No, the picture captured his shy expression instead. He looks uncomfortable and slightly embarrassed. I'm definitely keeping both of these pictures. You had your fun, now delete them. I quickly uploaded to my social media. Really? Really? You're uploading your hospital selfie to social media? You have social media? Neil, she has social media and you still couldn't find her. Did you just upload that picture? There, you said you couldn't find any picture of me online, and now there is at least one. And secretly, I also did it because I sort of wanted a picture of us together. Why do I have to be in there too, and why that one? Because it's fun teasing you. He looks away with a cough. Didn't know you could have fun around me. Neil, why do you think we made out with you for 2 more times after that first time? Uploaded to every social media, including Venmo, including OnlyFans. I'm just about to reply to that until a man comes walking up, seemingly on the lookout for Neil. Neil, your secretary's here. Oh geez. This isn't good. Neil is suddenly up on his feet, his eyes wide and his back straight. Father. Oh, no. Yeah, bye. Why did you skip out on the meeting with Harrison? You've been angry and complaining nonstop. You better explain to me, boy. His cousin just got hospitalized? Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Completely ignoring my presence as well. Is he expecting Neil to break up with me? Yeah, I'm guessing so. Because of the whole art thing, he doesn't approve of me, and he's gonna ask Neil to break up with me even though we're not really dating, even though Neil very much wishes that we were dating. Neil hangs his head down and seems to be unable to look his father in the eye. Angela, that troublemaker again. How many times are you going to use her as an excuse? You need to own up to your responsibilities, Neil. It's own up, sir. You'll never be fit for this kind of work, otherwise he didn't ask to be fit. I frowned at Marcus. Angela is in the room right in front of him. Neil only came because he was worried. He's not even listening to Neil's reasons or abandoning his post. Though, Neil, did you at least, send an email or text message to Mr. Harrison that you were going to be late for the meeting due to a family emergency? Are family emergencies not a valid excuse? There's no crying in baseball. Does he even care a relative is in the hospital? Apologies, Father. I'll return straight away. I've never seen Neil this compliant and defeated before. Where did all his bite and spunk go? Then again, he was similar during our dinner a week ago. I'd also heard before that the word spunk means something different in Europe than it does in the US. Is that correct? This will be the last time that I'll see you skip out on work. Do it again, and I won't hesitate to cut you off. Oh, is that a promise? Isn't that the whole reason I pretended to be his fiancée in the first place? So that Neil wouldn't have to work so much? What was the point of doing it in the first place? Explain, Angela. It sure does. Oh boy. Sitting here listening to Neil's father berating him like this is infuriating. I know it's not my place to say anything, but boy do I want to. Neil finally turns to me, but his eyes aren't meeting mine. He feels lifeless. There is a Coke product, Dasani water, that advertised itself as water with spunk. It did not sell well. I have work. Thanks for taking care of Angela. Have a good day. Together with his father, Neil walks away from me. Oh good, so we're not having alone time with his father. Anyway, how's Angela doing? Oh, end of the chapter? Huh. Alright then, next one we go. Angela has left the hospital in good health with just a small line of stitches on her forehead hidden by her hair. She let me know in a text message that she appreciates I was there for her and that this wouldn't happen again. Does that mean she's going to rehab? On one hand, I do still want to talk about the whole pretending to be engaged with Neil thing. And on the other hand, I feel bad to her injury and don't really want to bother her about it. It seems like Angela has her own set of problems to deal with. I haven't spoken to Neil since that time at the hospital. Ever since he left with his father, he hasn't spoken to me. Not even a single snide text message. I'm actually a little bit worried. It was only through Angela that I knew Neil was working non-stop. That whole fiancé thing was basically for nothing. Neil's hours didn't get cut back, and Angela has expressed her frustrations with it. I can't believe I went along with it for a while and it didn't even help. So much for playing along. I've also heard about British people doing a double take when watching Scooby-Doo and hearing Shaggy's name. I keep myself busy with my boutique. If I need something to lift my spirits, I look at that selfie I took with Neil. That always gets a laugh out of me. Look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh. I decided to hire someone to design me some business cards and create a website, and they talked me into an entire new corporate identity with letterheads and all. Did you guys know that you can buy like 100 business cards for only $14? Right? It's expensive, but it should put me out there and net me more customers. Remember guys, business cards. Just owning them makes you feel more professional. Plus, I already knew I needed a website, I just never got around to getting one. It's not because of Neil or anything. Okay, maybe it is just a little bit because of Neil, but I won't tell him that! Jerk. I'm so engrossed in my own thoughts that I don't notice someone entering the store until they're standing right in front of the counter. I'll say that when I talk about cigarettes with other Britons, I'll use a word I will never use outside their company. Ah, yeah, that I've heard of too. Good morning, Freya. Oh, is Evelyn here to give us the talk? Yes, I can see that you're doing quite well for yourself, but unfortunately you're not good enough for our little baby boy. Please remove yourself from the equation immediately. She's here to tell us that, isn't she? Just like the mom from Crazy Rich Asians. Or, well, not even the mom, the grandma. The grandma from Crazy Rich Asians. It's Evelyn, Neil's mother. My mouth drops open. I did not expect this unannounced house call. Good morning. I feel my heart rate speed up. I'm nervous standing in front of her. What if she knows? Does she know? I don't know. Why is she here? What do I do? Oh, she is so looking down on us. I got an address from Angela and decided I wanted to come and visit your quaint little shop. I'm getting flashbacks. Oh, well, I'm just here attending the register. It's a slow day. I see. Oh, the awful vibes from this woman. The awful vibes. She doesn't seem to be like Neil's father in the sense that she still continues to be polite, outwardly, of course. Evelyn starts walking around, looking at the clothing that are showcased on the mannequins. Her hand reaches out to touch the fabric of a long dress. She looks so elegant to my store and sort of out of place. I don't really get rich customers. Oh, she is judging how cheap the fabric is. Oh, geez. Angela was the exception, but Angela dresses like she has a party to go to. Nothing like Evelyn, who looks like she could be the queen of the country. Are you planning on making your own wedding dress? For your wedding? With Neil? I simply looked down at my counter to think. Yes, of course, I have dreamed of making my own wedding dress. Never did I imagine I'd be fake engaged and would make it for a fake wedding. Oh God, please don't let it ever get that far. Yes. I should calm down. It's not like this wedding is happening for real. I've always wanted to make my own wedding dress. I got married in my grandma's wedding dress. Vintage, certainly, but after looking at these pictures for a couple of decades, I regret not wearing one of my own taste. Huh? Did she marry into this family? Like, is she an ally? Is she a good one after all? Please? A lot of women used to do that. It was pretty common in those days. Do you not like your wedding pictures? I wouldn't either if I was married to a catch like him. Quick, reserve the right to refuse service to her. They're best buried under a thick layer of dust. I absolutely loathe them. No, I don't need a reminder that I've been married to Marcus for who knows how many years. Divorce him! It almost sounds like she hates being married to him, and I can totally see why if his interactions with Neil is any indication to how he treats others. Divorce. But this is not any of my business. Did you marry young? We were high school sweethearts. We married soon after graduation. Yikes! That's a long time. It's a good thing that these days people wait until they're in their 20s to get married. I think Neil's at the perfect age to get married. Oh dear, I don't think I've asked how old you are yet. I'm 23, turning 24 soon. To be young again. I had my doubts that Neil would ever find a suitable partner to marry. She's supportive of our faux fiancé. I don't know, I feel like I'm starting to trust her, but knowing Otome game tropes, I really shouldn't. I hate having to go through this charade. It was only going to be for one night, it wasn't supposed to continue, this pretending to be Neil's fiancé thing. And why did Angela give her our address? Why's that? Does he scare people off with that sharp tongue of his? I can definitely see Neil chase away any potential romantic interest with that mouth of his. Sure, he looks handsome and those lips, Freya, no. Ma'am, I would like to inform you that I'm available. Down, ballsy. I can't start fantasizing about Neil in front of his mother. No, Freya. I think that would sell the illusion. More or less, Neil's a lovely young man. He takes care of his family, but he can be a bit awkward around women his age. It's never gone well. Every girl I introduced to him, she'd run away with tears in her eyes. Sometimes I think he does it on purpose to spite me. I'm trying to imagine Neil going on a blind date with a girl and saying something insulting and her running out on their first date. It sounds really funny, to be honest. Freya! Think of those poor girls! Pry for more embarrassing info. So, you're saying that Neil has no experience with girls? That's right, you are not immune to MILFs. I think he has plenty of experience scaring them. I try to teach him proper manners, but he gets too easily flustered. I can only image the number of girls he's scared off, and this is comedy gold. Neil, with all his smooth talk and insults, gets flustered around girls. That's why I'm so happy to see the two of you get along. Me and Neil getting along in what universe? Remember that she's only seen lies, Freya. For a while we thought he might be gay. He seemed quite hung up on the young man he met as a child. Right? That's the only way this is going, right? Do we? So, have you decided on a wedding date yet? What? What am I supposed to say now? It's easy. You say, no, not yet. We're really taking our time with this. We haven't really decided on anything yet. That's all right, my dear. Planning a wedding takes a lot of time and effort. I want you to know, Marcus and me, that's Marcus and I, will fully cover the expenses to your wedding, so please involve me in your planning. For the second time that day, my mouth drops open. I almost forgot Neil's supposed to be rich, but the way they're just waving their money around like it's nothing is still absolutely foreign to me. Why are you trying to give me money? Queried Evelyn as I blinked back the tears. I mean, earlier today I was haggling down the price of my new website. Don't do that! To save a few pennies. Don't do that! Respect their time! And here's Evelyn, saying she's fully covered a wedding like it's pocket change. Come on, Freya, you're an independent entrepreneur. You should know that you should respect professionals' rates. Rich people live in different worlds. I stand up straight. Yeah, right, yes, I'll do that. We stare at each other, having nothing else to say. It's awkward. Then, I suddenly remember why I was doing this whole stupid thing. It was to get Neil's hours cut down, especially now that I haven't even seen Neil in a while. By the way, I, would love to have Neil around more, so, is it possible for his hours to be cut down at work? He seems a bit exhausted. Wow, okay, your business deserves to tank, right? I'll try, but it's Marcus that has the final say. Although I'm fairly sure he'll comply once I tell him you're busy planning a wedding. But I'm not... Sorry, Freya, I'm afraid I have to cut our time short. I have to leave for a lunch date. Wow. Thanks for buying something. Oh, okay. Enjoy your lunch date, ma'am. Have a nice day, dear. I let out an exasperated sigh. Who knew talking to your fake mother-in-law could be so stressful? I quickly take out my cell phone and I text Neil a message. Don't worry, Fukunaga-san, in this country, creators have significant power and respect, and haggling them down is expected. They still make much more than they do in other nations. Oh, really? That's good! I thought that haggling was just like a Neopets thing at first until I learned that Neopets is based in the UK. But still, like, given today, I thought that haggling was, like, more of a thing in the early 2000s or, like, the 90s or something. Neil just question mark? Your mother stopped by the store and wanted to talk about wedding plans. Oh, what did you say? That I was only pretending and I actually hate your guts? It's factual and you didn't make it up, not at all? I'm gonna believe you. I trust you. Now, I haven't confessed to anything if that's what you mean. How long do I have to keep this up? I'm working on it. Well, work faster. It's exhausting to be your fiancé. After that, Neil no longer replies. It's been the first interaction we had since that day in the hospital. I'll admit I'm a bit worried about him. Maybe he's working himself too much. I miss talking to him as well. I hope Evelyn will pull some strings and relieve his workload. And just to give myself a little boost, I sent that picture of me and Neil to his phone. The one here where he looks dashingly stupid. I crop myself out of the frame so he's left with only his lovely face. You are mildly infuriating. Alright. Oh, an important client request? Are we gonna be making our own wedding dress? Oh, who's Sasha? Sasha, you know these aren't cherry blossoms, right? Wait, I didn't look closely enough. I thought that those had, like, 6 petals. 5 petals, so I guess that these are cherry blossoms. Just not the usual color that you'd see them in. Interesting color choice. Anyhow. High neckline. It's blue and with cherry blossoms. The neckline item is incorrect. It's not a high neck. Oh, the sleeves. So it's a halter top. How about this? Yep, this is exactly what she wanted. Thanks, have $9,000. A week later, and I'm standing in front of Angela's apartment. Earlier today, she called me and asked me to drop by for dinner. She said she had something important to discuss. She's going to rehab? And of course, I had to dress up nicely as usual. I wonder how well she's doing. I haven't seen her since I dropped her off at the hospital. I nervously ring the doorbell and Angela opens up. There's a small red line on the place where she hit her forehead. The stitches seem to have been removed already. Freya, hurry inside. I need to take the lasagna out of the oven. Oh boy, I love lasagna. Wow, it's perfect. The sakura flowers are so subtle I can barely make them out. Gotta have a good meal. I quickly slip through the door and see Angela run off towards the kitchen. Evening. Neil sitting on the couch, looking up at me. Of course he'd be here. Thanks for telling us, Angela. Hello. It's a bit weird to be here again on this couch, as I can only recall the last time I was here. Angela split her head open. I would rather not go through that again. I fluff up the pillows on the couch out of a nervous habit. After the initial greeting, neither of us say anything, and silence fills up the room. It feels awkward to be around him again. I don't know why. I start playing with the fabric of my dress, having nothing else to do. I take a peek over at Neil, and our eyes meet. My heart goes doki doki, and I quickly look away from him. Ooh, ah. Do you always dress up when you come here? Yeah, because Angela still deserves it more than you do, Neil. I feel overdressed and a bit embarrassed now. Come on, look at Neil. He's wearing a vest and a tie. You feel overdressed? Look at him. Angela always insists on it. Neil turns his head away. You look nice. Oh. Blood rushes to my head in anger. Thank you. That was completely out of the left field. You too, thanks. Oh great, that was a stupid compliment. Neil doesn't look any different from before. It's like he has only one outfit. Still, I am happy to see him again. Neil fixes his tie with a huff. If you're going to take pictures, I'd like to be warned beforehand. Okay. Do you want to take some pictures together? No! I mean, if you wanted to take another one where I'm fully prepared, then I wouldn't mind. And then we take a picture of him. Here I am. Come sit at the table. Dinner is served. Gotta have a good meal. I sit at the table and wait patiently as Angela throws a heap of lasagna on my plate. She does the same for Neil and herself as well. When we're all seated, we start to eat. It's surprisingly good. It's great, right? It's my secret recipe that I learned while I was in Italy. Like, just a couple months ago? Oh, geez, you learn fast. She's lying. Oh, hush, don't spoil my fun. Wow. Angela, for a second I thought that you had a good point. It's lovely either way. By the way, how's your head? I'm doing just fine. Removed the stitches a couple days ago, actually. It might leave a small scar, but I've been using this lovely cocoa butter cream to reduce the redness. Hopefully it'll work out. I hope so too. We eat further in silence until Angela speaks up again. I'm glad you could make it for dinner, Neil. I figured you were too busy at the hospital. As it is, my hours have been cut down this week. Regardless, what exactly is the important news you had to share? Ah yes, I want both of you to know that I've taken the time to reflect on my actions. And firstly, Freya, I want to apologize for roping you into my little scheme with Neil. Now that I had the best of intentions, I'll let Evelyn and Marcus know what I did, so you don't need to pretend to be Neil's fiancé anymore. Pretend wedding cancelled! After Evelyn visited me at the boutique, I feel it's even more awkward to come out with the truth now. I almost want to tell Angela to tell them we broke off the engagement or something, not that we were fooling them all along. I mean, she came to my store and everything, and I talked about wedding dresses. I heard about her own wedding. Oh, God. It's about time. I couldn't keep this up anymore. Mother has been hounding me with questions about a fiancé I never had. And came to my store. I had to give her your address. She practically begged me for it. I'm sorry, my love. Oh. I hope it wasn't too awkward. Nothing much. We only talked about my future wedding with Neil. There won't be a wedding. As I recall, your mother offered to pay for the entire wedding. I could take her up on that offer and simply have a big wedding party, then dump you at the altar. Yes, but what a shame. What a shame the poor groomsbride is a fake. Seems like a fun way to spend the day on someone else's expense. Maybe at one of those really big castle estates. I'm not going to let you have your fake fairy tale wedding just so you can leave me at the altar. Oh, you want us to go through with it, Neil? No one in their right mind would leave me at the altar. I'm way too much of a catch. Wow. Your mother told me this funny little story, how you chased away every single girl she's introduced you to. They were running away in tears. I poke my fork at Neil with a devilish smile. I sink it into his skin. His Majesty can't even find a queen. I still can't tell if that's an embarrassed blush or an angry blush. He doesn't know how to respond because it's true, and oh my god, he looks rather adorable when he's all embarrassed. Does he? It's payback. Revenge. I will have my revenge. I'm sorry, but I have to cut in here. His Majesty? Oh no, is Angela going to think that this is some kinky play? It's my turn to blush. It's, a nickname for Neil. She ignores the lasagna entirely. Ah, so you don't mind if I have seconds? So we're down to nicknames now, are we? As much as I like teasing Neil and making him blush, it seems it backfired on me. The reverse Uno card. The reverse Uno card. Enough about this. What were you trying to say, Angela? Right! Well, after last week, I couldn't remember anything. That's a bad sign. Freya, darling, I didn't even know you were there. I can't even recall anything odd happening to me that day. I can remember drinking my third bottle, and after that it's all blank. There's a missing piece in my memory. I had to explain to her what happened, that you got an ambulance and went with her to the hospital. Oh, I had no idea that Angela didn't remember. She just straight up blacked out. Once I got back home, trying hard as I could to remember, I saw the little spot of blood near my couch. It was mine, but I didn't recognize it at all. Although I'm pretty glad that I didn't bleed all over my carpet. Yeah, that would be a pain to replace. I give her a wry smile, the dark humor bothering me a little. You should tell her about that. You should establish firm boundaries. You definitely scared me there. I've been blackout drunk before, but this is the first time it unnerved me so much that I couldn't remember what happened. So, I did some reflecting, and I decided... Rehab? Rehab? Yeah! Whoa! We did it! I decided to take some time off life and check myself into rehab. Nani? It's going to be a blast. It's a resort out in the Caribbean. You get to relax and chill at the beach for months on end. Angela, I'm not sure that counts as rehab. I mean, I'd like to say I'd be drinking cocktails, but that would defeat the purpose. So I guess I'll be drinking coconut water instead. If it works, it works. Is this just what rich people rehab is like? I'm as much as at a loss for words as Neil is. This is unexpected. Rehab? Angela is checking herself into rehab? And she'll be comfortable and respected? Come on now, don't act like it's the strangest thing you ever heard of. I'll just be off on another little adventure of mine. I mean, if That helped you cope? Okay. Honestly, it sounds like it would probably have better retention rates than just the whole shaming thing. Like, a lot better. Rich people. How? I mean, why so suddenly? Angela is quiet for a bit, looking down at the table. She gives a slight shrug with her shoulders. I guess I needed to face the ugly truth, and after my little accident, I noticed that all I was doing was push the people I love away from me. I'm really sorry. I promise it won't happen again. Angela sounds so heartfelt, but I can't help but smile at her. I grab her hand and give it a squeeze. You're going to be okay. You made a wise decision. For how long? Yeah, the first thing is going cold turkey, which is easier if you're not stressed out and using your medication. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people use substances to self-medicate because of some underlying anxiety or issues, depression. We gotta treat the root of the problem. I don't know, until I'm ready to go out in the world again. Could be a month, could be 4. Are you sure you're not just treating it like a regular resort? Well, it certainly has its appeal. But I vow I will try my best to abstain from any alcohol ever again. I'm done with it. I don't need to use it as a crutch anymore. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough road forward, but I believe in her. Because this is an otome game, and dreams come true. She leans closer to Neil. But you need to start making some changes as well, little cousin of mine. I don't want to see another family member work himself. Is that how her dad died? That's messed up! Get out of there, have some fun, take Freya out on a date. Don't be like my deceased father. I'll decide that on my own, thank you very much. Stop worrying about me already. Neil, you are a stressor. I'll always worry about you, dear. Where would you be if you didn't have such a strong and overprotective cousin around like me? I do just fine. My life would actively improve without your antics in it. When are you leaving? This weekend I'm flying over, sometime Saturday, so it'll be quite quick. I simply flashed my credit card around and the spot opened up in no time. Rich people! I'll be at the beach enjoying the warm sun on my face in only a few more days. Send pictures. Yes, we need to see you. Remember to cover up at the beach. Neil! You're such a doll. You know nude beaches are a thing, right? I feel all warm and bubbly inside thinking about nude beaches. It all sounds like a good plan, like nothing can go wrong. We both congratulate Angela some more for her courage and eat our dinner in peace and laughter. When it's time to go home, Neil offers me a ride in his car. No more makeouts this time, young man. We get inside Neil's car and we're on our way home. Can we go with you, Angela? Please? I can't believe Angela is going to rehab for her alcoholism problem. I'm so proud of her. Yeah. I definitely didn't expect that to be the thing she wanted to tell us. Neil seems to be somewhere else with his thoughts, and I'm kind of curious to know what he's thinking about. You seem kind of quiet. What's on your mind? Penny for your thoughts? Or are you so rich that you would prefer $1 for your thoughts? It's something she said. Like what? She told me not to work myself to death. That's messed up! Neil, you knew this and still brushed her off? Neil! Neil! Angela would tell me how you would be working too much and how she never saw him anymore. During college, they barely had any sort of contact. My family would often say that he worked himself to death. And you still do this?! I see. I guess that's why she came up with that ridiculous idea to please your parents to let you off the hook. And your parents are still doing this with the history? Oh my god! Yes, it makes it understandable but not excusable. I mean, that's correct. But oh my god, Neil! Don't you think we should do something nice for Angela? We are talking about the same woman who tried to pass you off as my fiancé, right? I know, but she admitted her mistake and she's going into rehab. I think that's pretty brave of her. It is. I mean, we don't owe her anything, but that's what sparks joy in you, Freya. I definitely think we should do something for her. before she leaves, and we won't see her for who knows how many months. You know that they have phone service there, right? So, how about a nice going-away present? I guess I don't see the harm in that. Great! Do you think you can pick me up tomorrow and we can head to the mall? Or do you have work still? Neil glances at me with a raised eyebrow. I think I can spare some time in the morning. My hours have been cut down this week. Wonder what I should get her. Maybe a nice towel to use on the beach? I'm off in my own thoughts, feeling pretty content, excited to go shopping with Neil tomorrow. It's a date! When my mother visited, you told her something, didn't you? That depends on what you mean by something. I can only imagine the fake praise you've given me, but that's not what I was referring to. And pray tell, what are you referring to? Neil looks bashful all of a sudden, which is an odd change of pace. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't have had the time to take you to the mall tomorrow. Oh, what do you mean? Weren't for what? You know, the whole planning a fake wedding? Oh! He's asking about me asking Evelyn if she could lower Neil's workload. Ah, right. Yeah, I figured I might as well turn an awkward situation into something useful. Thank you for that. And just like that, I'm blushing again. He's thanking me, truly and honestly thanking me, without some hidden agenda or an insult. I wasn't prepared at all for the meal this evening. That's a good sign, right? First he says I look nice, without any sort of prompt, and now he's giving me this cute smile and thanking me, showing me all these sides of him. Where did the mean and pompous Neil go? Oh, he'll be back later. I glance over at Neil, who went back to looking at the road. I can see we're almost at my house. So, what time tomorrow? Will your store be okay if it's closed tomorrow? Yeah, I make my own hours. It's really not a good business model at all. We are very unprofessional, but still. No worries, me and my 4 customers can wait another day. Very well, I'll come by at 10, don't be late. We drive a little further until Neil stops. We're at my home. Thanks for the ride. Have a nice night. Sweet dreams. Honestly, I don't know what's gotten into him today, but he's a lot more of a decent person. I step outside and close the door. I feel Neil's eyes on me as I walk towards the front door. When I try to reach for my keys, I realize I don't have my purse with me. Frantically, I turn around and see that Neil has rolled down the car window and is holding out my purse for me. Thank you, Neil. You forgot this. Good night. No makeouts. None. I don't trust these two to just stay with a chaste kiss. Feeling bashful being an airhead, I keep my head low and quickly walk back to the car to grab my purse from Neil. No, sorry. Grab my purse for Neil. Neil's body is stretched out over the passenger seat to be able to hand me my purse through the window. My fingers reach out for the straps and they brush over Neil's hand by accident. Ooh, ah. A conflicted look clouds Neil's face, and the next thing I know, his hand is wrapped around my wrist and he reels me in through the window. I smash my head into the glass. I die on the spot. This whole family is just a big fan of our wrist, huh? Normally I like assertive guys, as you could probably tell from all my other otome games. Just not this assertive guy in particular. Hi, Han! Hello! That's right, it's oh no! Anyway, Han, good news! Angela is going to rehab for her alcohol addiction. And also, Freya and Neil are making out more often. I said no goodnight kiss. Choo choo. A choo choo choo. Get it? A choo choo choo. Like a choo choo train? Because we're being railroaded? And also, choo, like the sound effect for kissing? I'm smart and clever and funny and cute. I'm your favorite VTuber, right? Man, I'm awesome. Yeah, right? Right? Why aren't you guys saying anything? I grab my purse and swallow hard. Good night, Neil. See you tomorrow, Freya. With that, Neil finally speeds off. I bring my finger to my lips and touch it, reminiscing the feeling of our kiss. Oh, Alright, next chapter? The next morning, exactly on time, Neil picks me up and I'm a bundle of electrifying nerves. Morning. It's hard to make eye contact with him after our goodnight kiss last night. Good morning, Freya. He starts the engine and we drive away. Freya. The way he says my name like that, it gives me chills. I like it. Wow, with no honorific? My first name? With no honorific? Wow. Forrester Coon. I recline back into the chair and muse about our day and what kind of shops we can visit. There's a bunch of souvenir shops, gift shops, and some home decoration stores that Angela might like. We can check them all out if Neil is up for it. I wonder if it'll be any fun to shop around with Neil. That's also when I realize. Like this, it's practically a date, isn't it? I even dressed up nicely. I look over at Neil and I feel butterflies well up in my stomach when I recall our brief kiss last night. There's been so much kissing between us, but not enough talking or acknowledging it. We never mention it. Neither of us has mentioned anything, and I feel like if I bring it up directly, it would be far too awkward. It might also break the entire spell we're under, making things worse for the both of us. You gotta communicate like adults, fellas. Or else you'll spend 2 months after kissing to be sure. Okay, so just to be clear, we like each other in that way? But we want to go out? Is that the vibe that we've got going between us? Trust me, I'm speaking from experience here. I can easily see Neil getting flustered, which in turn makes him more irritated, and he'll likely say something rude again, perpetuating this never-ending cycle of Neil running his mouth off and me getting angry at him, which is not the relationship that you should be aiming for. Right now, he's been mellow, a side of him that he's only recently been showing to me, a side I don't quite dislike and don't like. So to keep the peace for now, I keep my mouth shut. This is still not a good relationship. Oh, so we're checking out our rivals, are we? We arrive at the mall together. I've been here a few times with Sarah, so I know the area a little bit, and if I recall correctly, there should be a small gift shop somewhere near the end. This sounds kinda toxic, it super does! The mall isn't as busy in the morning on a weekday, so me and Neil can take it easy. I can see a couple walk in front of us holding hands. I glance to my side at Neil, who is walking with a fair distance between me and him, like there's an invisible force field between us. Do I smell awful or something? There's no reason to keep me at an arm's length. A bit annoyed at the distance, with the next step I take, I close the distance a bit. God, I wish I had long legs. Do you have anything in mind, or do you want to wander around aimlessly? Asks Neil as he turns to look toward me. Oh, when did you get so close? Oh, and then he gets headbutted. What's wrong with wandering around aimlessly? I don't have that kind of luxury. I do still need to go to work today. I can't afford to take the entire day off. Oh, he doesn't have the whole day? I'm a bit bummed that we can't spend a lot of time together. Alright, how about we try some of the gift shops around here? There's bound to be a nice gift we can give to Angela. No, the gift shops are all overpriced. Suddenly I can smell something amazing. There's a food stall around somewhere that's selling freshly made waffles. Lured by the scent, I dash forward. Hey, where are you going so fast? My stomach starts to grumble as I come across the small food court. There's a bunch of Belgian waffles on display. But fresh ones being prepared? There's chocolate-covered ones, ones with whipped cream, ones with strawberries. Belgian waffles are the best. Have you tried, like, the chocolate-coated ones with the caramel? I think that they're called stroop waffles. Have you ever tried stroop waffles? I take in a deep breath. The smell is mouth-watering. My mouth agrees with me and growls again. You're hungry? Do you not have a stomach, Neil? Gee, what gave it away? Want some too? Neil looks over at the display, then shakes his head in an affirmative no. I'll pass on the pastry. It's called a Belgian waffle, and they're delicious. One please with some whipped cream. Stroop waffles are so good. Here you go, young lady. Is the boyfriend sure he doesn't want one as well? Oh no, we're planning on sharing. Completely ignoring the boyfriend comment, I take the warm waffle from his hands and immediately take a bite. Please don't be rude to the shopkeeper. The yummy caramelized sugar crystals mixed with the cream and melt away in my mouth. I sigh in pleasure. This is to die for. Oh, I'm so jealous. I took another sip of the coffee because it does have some sugar in it. It's not enough. I'm quite sure, and we're not to... You want a bite of mine? It's terrific! Indirect kiss? Neil's face contorts into a weird grimace and he backs away slowly. This waffle is a better romantic partner than Neil. No thank you. Determined not to give up, I take a step closer. Freya? Freya, boundaries. Freya, he could be allergic. He could literally be allergic to this. Come on, just a small bite. Don't you think it smells delicious? One bite and I'll stop bugging you. Freya, he could have diabetes. He's still looking at me suspiciously, but I simply give him my best smile and wait. It seems to have worked because Neil slumps down his shoulders in defeat and sighs. Fine. I guess you are my little pog champ. I'll go into anaphylactic shock just for you. One bite then. Neil moves closer to me, his eyes flutter close and his lips part until his mouth rips off a tiny piece from my waffle. Wow, directly from the mouth, huh? Not even gonna tear it off? His golden eyes open and they're looking straight at me as he pulls back. The entire scene makes me feel a bit bashful, like we're really on a date together. Neil straightens his back and gives me a serious look as he swallows. And what does the boyfriend think? I have a lot of different flavors available. I feel myself blush a little with the second boyfriend comment and look down at my shoes. Neil growls, then suddenly... Neil, stop doing that! Hey, quit pulling! I don't want to keep wasting time. We're here for a present for that crazy cousin of mine, nothing else. Fine, fine. Just stop pulling me along. Let me finish my waffle. Neil's hand releases my arm, and we're walking in a normal pace, side by side. He didn't even tell me what he thinks of the waffle. I finish off my waffle in silence, no question mark. Then, all of a sudden, Neil stops walking as we pass by a store window. He's looking at some home decoration store. I join him and peer over his shoulder to see what he's looking at. It's an art sculpture, bronze-colored and twisted into weird angles. I wonder if Neil likes it? You want to buy that for Angela? Because I'm pretty sure she could make it herself. Hey, the best part about buying things is that you don't have to make it yourself. Obviously, I'm not going to gift her something that is basically her job to make. Well, what do you want to go look inside then? I suppose. Oh, right, because it's his dream to do interior decorating. We walk inside the store. I see some wine bottles. Hey, why don't we buy her those? It's full of little arts and crafts items lining the walls, mostly made of wood with inspiring text printed on them, like love quotes. Oh, I hate those. There's quite a few heart-shaped products as well. It's all pretty feminine and kind of cute, which is why Neil stands out like a sore thumb in this store. Does he really? There are only other women around at the moment. I can't imagine guys would visit this store on their own. Don't be sexist, Freya! Oh my god! Like, usually at, my craft stores or stuff like that, there's usually like a 50-50 split. Like, maybe 70-30 at the most. But Neil doesn't seem to notice and browses the shelves on his own, looking around without a care. Like, is it just because I normally only go on the weekends so that there's more customers as a whole? Like, is that it? Any, hobby store or interior design store clerks have any experience with this? He picks up a vintage candle holder and inspects it carefully. I guess I should look around for something as well. I wonder if this is even Angela's style, since she seems more streamlined and modern, not so Romantic? It's called vintage. Maybe Neil likes this kind of style. I pick up a small porcelain plate covered in cherry blossoms. It's cute, but I don't think Angela would like this. I put it back down and walk towards Neil. It's probable the author made an assumption. Ah, he's looking at a large cream-colored vase, with his eyebrows furrowed together as if he's deep in thought. Like it? Do you like this kind of style? Oh, not particularly, no. Then why are you looking at it like you want to buy it? I'm interested in the way it was made. It seems almost everything in here is handmade with care. I look around and do notice a lot of items don't have duplicates, and if there are more than one, they look slightly off. They all seem to be unique. I hadn't really paid attention to that, but I guess Neil does. Cherry blossoms, get it for Seamus. For a second there, I thought you were totally into heart-shaped things. Neil simply looks at me like I'm nothing but a nuisance. Ah, look at that loving gaze. Anyways, weren't you the one who said you didn't want to waste time? Let's look for something for Angela. I got a little distracted. Let's keep looking. I think we should get her a towel. You know, since she's going to the Caribbeans? What makes you think she doesn't have an expensive collection of towels lying around already? I don't care. Let's give her one with some funny text on it or something. I'm sure she doesn't have that. Let's get her one with a meme printed on it. Let's get her one with Garfield printed on it. Neil grumbles under his breath, but I can't quite make out what it is, so I leave it alone. I browse through the aisles and see lots of funny little gifts. I pick up a white coffee cup. It says Queen in a fancy font. I pick up another one. This one says King. The third one I pick up, I laugh out loud. Neil, look, look! What is it? I shove the cup in his face. Look, it says Your Majesty. It's like they made it especially for you. Neil? There's someone behind us. Ah, shmata. Mother, what are you doing here? Oh, I knew my eyes weren't deceiving me. I saw you both enter this store and I had to go say hi. Oh, no. Hello? Did Angela tell you yet? Evelyn gives me a strange look, cocking her head to the side. I don't think Angela told her already about the fake fiancé thing. Does it mean we still need to pretend, or should we stop pretending and tell her ourselves? I don't know. Oh God, the stress. Are you both out on a date? Yes, we are. Sudden handhold. Almost like he's shielding me from his mother. Are we now? I don't really feel like continuing to pretend. Are you buying something in particular? No, just window shopping. What brings you here? Tuxedoji, you already have access to the not like this emoji. Tuxedoji, not like this. Sometimes I do enjoy going to the mall as well. There's no harm in doing a little shopping on my own. I see. Jeez. Freya and I will continue our date now. Give my regards to the father. That I will. You two enjoy your date, you little lovebirds. Neil gives a curt nod, then speeds out of the store, dragging me behind. Yeah, not suspicious at all. He doesn't stop walking in this fast pace until we rounded the corner, and then we both sigh in relief. Neil, you're kind of hurting me. You know, you guys should really stop tugging on my wrist so much. Like, at least use my hand. He promptly lets go and backs away from me. Don't be suspicious. Angela hasn't told her yet. I can't do it myself. Angela has to be the one to tell her. I know it would just be